everybody, welcome to the Year 1 Meet the Teacher. We're sorry we had a few technical glitches in the live version, so we wanted to record you a version so that if you missed anything, you can catch up. So we're going to fire away.
So we have lots of lovely staff in Year 1. Mrs. Gibbons is in Flamingos and she's just said hello to you. In Penguins, we have Miss Armstrong.
Hiya.
And in Swans, we've got myself, Mrs. Dodds and Mrs. Norfolk.
Hello.
And we have lots of amazing TAs in our Year 1 team. In Flamingos, we've got Mrs. Clover Lambert. In Penguins, we've got Mrs. Ward. In Swans, we've got Mrs. Thompson. And we have some lovely support staff working across the year group. Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Bax, Miss Peacock and Miss Day.
So the structure of the day for Year 1 is very like the rest of the school, very different to reception when they have to sort of learn to be sitting in seats. So 8:40 we have the doors, you can come in, they have early morning work. We expect them all to be in by 8:55 so we can register them and they're sitting down ready for that. Then we go on to our phonics and we do the Sounds Right Phonics programme, and that goes throughout the school, but they've already done some of that in reception. Then we move on to our English. Then we have either assembly or snack and then playtime, depending. Then we have maths, lunch, and then after lunch, we have our foundation subjects, which we'll talk more about in a minute, and the end of the school day.
So the curriculum that we follow is the national curriculum, and all of the subjects that we cover within Year 1 are English, which is incorporating reading, writing, SPAG, which is spelling and grammar, punctuation and grammar, and then phonics, which obviously is very, very important in Year 1. And we'll talk a little bit more about how important phonics is as well. But then we cover maths, science, PE, PSHE, art, music, geography, history, RE, computing, and DT.
Not all at once.
But obviously not all at once.
So we have 5 different topics in Year 1. For the whole of autumn, you might well already be aware we're doing Moon Zoom, so learning all things to do with space, about famous astronauts, and covering lots of texts that are some way related to space. Then we move on to Enchanted Woodland, which ties in lovely with the changing of the seasons and our science topics. Then my personal favourite, which is Paws, Claws and Whiskers, and we have a lovely trip for that one. Summer 1, we move on to Bright Lights Big City, which is all about the Great Fire of London, so a big history drive. And then Summer 2 is Dinosaur Planet.
For all these topics, we have some really exciting things planned. We always have a big Spark activity to get the children involved, and it helps us get the best out of them in terms of their writing and what work they can produce. So for the Moon Zoom, we've just had a big rocket ship land in the playground and crash, and the children have been very excited talking about that. We bring in a variety of different workshops, including the VR headset one that we're going to have in a couple of weeks. We do a trip later on in the year, and there's lots of other things that you'll learn about as we go along.
So in Year 1, there is one statutory assessment. It's called the Phonics Screener, and we will do this in June 2023. Now, this is not as big of a deal as it sounds. It's nothing like the Year 2 or the Year 6 SATs. It is simply a paper that has 40 words in it, 20 real and 20 nonsense. We will be training the children using our phonics scheme throughout the whole year to sail through this test. You absolutely don't need to worry about it. You don't need to do anything about it. The children probably won't even know they're taking it because they do so much practice. That will be in June 2023.
So during the week, all the Year 1 team, the teachers, are out of class so that we can plan and discuss the following week and what we're doing. So that happens on a Wednesday afternoon. So Mrs. Dodds and I are both in for Swans, and obviously Miss Armstrong and Mrs. Gibbons. And then while we're out of class, you will have Mrs. Askew, Mrs. Giles and Mrs. Miller covering the other classes, and they will be covering music, RE and art, depending.
So homework is obviously something that's a bit new in Year 1. And actually, I'm just going to pause there because it's going to cut us off so that we can start again. So bear with us 1 minute. Okay, so we're on to homework, and obviously that's a new thing to have as they've moved into Year 1. Something that has continued is the daily reading, and that is really, really, really important. because we really need the children to read as regularly as possible. It leads on from the phonics. It's a massive, massive push in year one because reading stems into, I say STEM goes into absolutely every subject that they are going to come across. They need to read it. They need to be able to write it. They need to use it in every way possible. So we want a massive, massive push on daily reading as much as you can. Homework is given out every Wednesday of each week and due back in the following Monday. It shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. If you are struggling, please do speak to the class teachers because we can support you with this, but hopefully we've pitched it correctly for you. It will all be linked to the curriculum and what we're doing each half term. They also have a Numbots login, which has been stuck in the front of their reading records, and this can help them practice basic number skills. It's not compulsory, but it's a really good tool, and it's a good way of doing a nice educational activity in the evening.
So expectations at Grovelands, we do have very high expectations. Attendance, please can you make sure your child is in school on time each day, unless they're unwell. Please call the office as soon as you can. We do need to have their child in school for more than 90%, 6% of the time. Uniform, please keep it in line with what you expect. We know you expect us to be like. We want you to be smart, no jewellery, school ties, jumpers, school shoes. Please make sure there are no large hair accessories like hairbands, no dyed hair. Please make sure if they have to have their earrings in, they are the retainers. And please make sure that the shave sections of when your hair is shaved is not permitted, obviously really short. PE days, Penguins is Monday and Tuesday, Swans and Flamingos are Monday and Thursday. And on these days, please make sure the children are wearing the correct PE kit. And we'll make sure they're looking smart and part of our school. One of my favourite things to talk about is Groveland's values. As you may remember them from reception, our 6 values that we look at across the whole year are kindness, uniqueness, respect, trust, friendship and determination. We work alongside these with our houses, which I'll go into shortly. If the children are spotted showing our values, they will be rewarded with praise card might be sent to them at home. We reward them in the classroom. We have a set of promises or class rules that we adhere to incorporating each of these values. Our behaviour system ties in really lovely with the school values as well. We have got 4 houses in our school. We've got Yew, Sycamore, Chestnut and Birch. The children should know their school houses, and rather than knowing them by colour, we would really like them to know them by name. So if you can actually make sure that your children know which house they're in, this really helps because when they get values tokens, they know where they are going, and then they're collected at the end of each term, and we get, it's a house token system. We will also be having lots of different inter-school, inter-house competitions as the year goes on.
Okay, so if at any point your child is worried about something or have a concern, we obviously always encourage them to talk to a trusted adult. So whether that is you at home or someone else at home, or again, any one of us, then we obviously always encourage that. If you as a parent have any concerns, then first port of call, please speak to your class teacher. Hopefully we will be able to resolve any issues. If you find that it's not been resolved, then the next port of call is Mr. Kempton, who is the phase leader for Key Stage 1. All of us can point you towards his classroom. If you're a Penguin, then you might know he's on the other side of the building. And then again, if it still hasn't been resolved or you still feel like you need to speak to somebody, then the next step is one of senior leadership, which is Mr. Tuck or Mrs. Coleman.
So throughout the year, we have a variety of parents' meetings. You will all be invited to make an appointment for a parent consultation evening in autumn, which will be after October half term, and in spring term, again, probably after February half term. Parents of children with any extra special educational needs will also be invited to a pupil passport meeting every term, specifically to talk about the targets that they have. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you've got all the information that you need, and we look forward to seeing you at the door every day.